It was India Today that first reported that B.S. Yediyurappa was on his way out, and we were bang on. Today, the exit was complete. BSY officially stepped down as the Karnataka Chief Minister for the fourth time. An emotional Yediyurappa said he's gone through many Agni Parikshas in his life. The Lingayat strongman now retires hurt. Our Bengaluru Bureau Chief Nagarjun Dwarkanath reports.
ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ರಾಜಭವನ ಹೋಗಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಡಲು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ.
On that emotional note, B.S. Yediyurappa has stepped down as the Chief Minister of Karnataka. On the day his government completed 2 years in office, Yediyurappa broke down on stage and announced that his innings as the Chief Minister has finally come to an end.
ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ರಾಜಭವನ ಹೋಗಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಡಲು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ದುಃಖದಿಂದ, ಸಂತೋಷದಿಂದ, ಖುಷಿಯಿಂದ 75 ವರ್ಷ ದಾಟಿದ ಯಡಿಯೂರಪ್ಪನಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ 2 ವರ್ಷ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮುಂದುವರಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಂತಹ ಪ್ರಧಾನಿ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಅಮಿತ್ ಶಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ನಡ್ಡಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಶಬ್ದಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಬಹುದು.
Yediyurappa submitted his resignation to the governor and assured he wasn't going anywhere and that he will continue to work for the BJP. BSY also made it clear that the decision to step down was completely his.
ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒತ್ತಡ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನೇ ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡಿ ಇವತ್ತು 26ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು 2 ವರ್ಷ ತುಂಬಿದಿರುವಂಥ ಈ ಶುಭ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೂ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು, ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾನೇ ವಾಲಂಟಿಯರ್ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಹೊರತು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಧಾನಿ ಆಗಲಿ, ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷ ಆಗಲಿ, ಅಮಿತ್ ಶಾ ಆಗಲಿ ಯಾರ್ದು ಒತ್ತಾಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನೇ ವಾಲಂಟಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ.
He would now wait for the party high command to tell him what would be his next step. He has made it very clear that he would want to work for the party to make sure that they come back to power in the 2023 election, and also that his 2 sons are taken care of by the party.
Yediyurappa's resignation marks the end of an era in Karnataka politics. And while it was expected that his announcement would bring some trouble for the BJP, so far it looks like the transition will be smooth.
Party High Command is very strong. They will think about the future of the party, and 2 years the government, they have to run the 2 years government, and future also in Karnataka BJP government have to form that capacity, the thing for the next CM. New leadership, I will support the new leadership.
He acted according to the direction of the High Command. He has already, he told so many days back that whatever the High Command issued direction, they will abide by that. As being a disciplined man and a party worker, he has honored the High Command decision.
The Congress meanwhile has questioned the timing of Yediyurappa's exit, asking what prompted his resignation.
It is not Yediyurappa who shed his tears. It is the Chief Minister who shed his tears. It is the utter failure of the entire BJP government, and they have lost, and ultimately it has fallen to his resignation.
एक पहला तो चीफ मिनिस्टर सत्यानाश करा वहां पर, अब जो आएगा और वो क्या करेगा देखिए.
ಪಕ್ಷದ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಒಬ್ಬ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ತೊಲಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋರು, ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಟ್ಟು ತೊಲಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋರು.
Exit is now done and dusted as predicted by India Today months ago. Now the focus is on who will be Yediyurappa's successor and who will be the next Chief Minister of Karnataka. Nagarjun Dwarkanath for India Today.
So what's next for BSY, and most importantly, who will succeed him? Yediyurappa today dismissed reports that he will be rehabilitated with the governor's post. BSY declared that he'll continue to work for the party and will support whoever the party chooses to succeed him.
B.S. Yediyurappa, who has served 4 terms as Chief Minister at different stages of his political career, is at a crossroad. While at 80 years of age, a comeback is unlikely, it would be too early to write the stalwart's political obituary. One of the likely options for the BJP top brass would be to rehabilitate B.S. Yediyurappa with a governor's post. But BSY is not keen.
ನೂರು ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂದುವರೆದು ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಒಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಸೇರಿ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಯನ್ನ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಧಿಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ತರಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾಳೆಯಿಂದ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಯಾವ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ರಾಜಕೀಯದಿಂದ ಹಿಂದೆ ಸರಿಯೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವುದೇ ರಾಜ್ಯಪಾಲರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
Yediyurappa could also use the exit as a chance to secure a place for his sons in Karnataka politics. As a first step, Yediyurappa is likely to pitch his second son, Vijendra, as the face of the Lingayat community, the key vote bank of the Bharatiya Janata Party in the state of Karnataka. The Lingayat community has time and again rallied behind Yediyurappa. BSY could also back Vijendra's claim for the hot seat at some point in future. One can safely assume BSY's end could just be the beginning of BSY 2.0. Courtesy his son. Your report, India Today.
Is this an opportunity for the Bharatiya Janata Party to make a fresh start in the state of Karnataka, or is this an admission of failure? Joining me on the news track, representing the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, its national spokesperson Sanju Verma. Squaring off against her from the Congress party, we have Aishwarya Mahadev, representing on this broadcast a perspective of what's happening in the political circles of Karnataka. We have senior journalist T.M. Veeraraghav. Nagarjun Dwarkanath has been leading our coverage in Karnataka. He's the one who first broke the story of BSY's likely exit, that news break being confirmed today. Nagarjun, first, congratulations for being the first journalist to actually put your neck out and say that Yediyurappa will go. It's only a matter of time. Do you know at this moment who's most likely to come in and why?
Well, thank you, Rahul. In fact, India Today has been following the story for the last 4 to 5 weeks, and we stand validated today. A lot of names are going on. It's all about caste combinations, and they still have not finalized on a name is what we are picking up. I was on call till 10 minutes back also with Delhi top brass, and they still haven't zeroed in on one name. They're still working out on caste combinations. Will Lingayat be the next Lingayat candidate, be the next chief minister? Will it be a good choice, or will it be a non-Lingayat? Will there be a backlash of Lingayats then? That's the permutation combination that they're doing. But at least they've got top 3 names. If it's a Lingayat, it might be Basavaraj Bommai. If it's a non-Lingayat, it might be a Vokaliga. And also Prahlad Joshi, who is one of the front runners today, because he also met the Union Home Minister and the party president to discuss Karnataka politics. So in the next couple of days, we will have a clearer picture as to who is closing into the chief minister post in Karnataka.
At this moment, T.M. Veeraraghav, what's your sense? Because if they were to pick another Lingayat leader, there isn't anyone with that stature at this moment who would seamlessly fit the shoes of the Karnataka chief minister. The other problem is, if you pick a non-Lingayat, then you run the risk of the Lingayat community deserting the BJP, as was the case when Virendra Patil was removed from the top job in 1990 by Rajiv Gandhi. If you were to pick a Brahmin, for example, as chief minister, that's such a small community politically that it then doesn't really serve any electoral purpose, as it were. So given all these calculations which are currently at play, what do you think is most likely to happen?
These are the calculations that precisely made Yediyurappa the tallest and the unchallenged leader in the BJP so far. And it's going to be a gamble right now to find the new leader. Look, this is not just about the Lingayat vote bank. The Lingayat vote bank is firmly behind the BJP, and I don't see the Lingayats moving away from the BJP. They don't have a choice. But the BJP cannot be seen as alienating them. So it has to be a leader who's amenable to the Lingayats, whether it is from the Lingayat caste or not. It cannot be completely a contrarian caste to the Lingayats. It also has to be a leader who's amenable to Yediyurappa. While I think the message is very clear that Yediyurappa was told to put in his papers and then talk. The party high command was firm, according to most indications, that they didn't want to negotiate with Yediyurappa and announce a successor before he stepped down. While the party high command will take the final decision on it, it has to be someone who's amenable to Yediyurappa, someone acceptable to all the MLAs. Remember, it's a fragile coalition of castes as well as elements from the other parties who defected over to the BJP that gives it support in Karnataka. So it has to be a leader who's able to manage and take all of them along. Yediyurappa may have bowed down and said, okay, I'm stepping down, but the road ahead and the stability of the government will depend on whether that leader is amenable at least to Yediyurappa, to the Lingayat caste, and to the rest of the BJP. So it's going to be a tough choice. It has to be someone experienced seasons. There are several names, as Nagarjuna and you have pointed out. I think it will still be something that is, they would have already thought about it, but we'll have to wait and see who they go ahead with.
Sanju Verma, the opposition is saying this is an admission of failure of the fact that you put in Yediyurappa, the number of corruption charges against him, the role of his children, the fact that BJP MLAs were openly speaking out against him. You heard from DK Shiv Kumar, you heard from Siddaramaiah, you heard from Veerappa Moily, all of them saying that this proves the fact that the Karnataka government of the BJP has failed.
You know, Rahul, look at the number of people and the names of the people you've just mentioned. Siddaramaiah. Siddaramaiah is the same person who, as the Chief Minister of Karnataka in 2018, ensured that the Congress got a drubbing and its seat share went down from 122 to 80, down by 42 seats. Look at D. Shivakumar. He's the same person under whom, the Congress has not covered itself in glory. Don't forget that there's an enforcement directorate and CBI case pending against him for disproportionate assets of more than 800 crore in 20 countries in 317 bank accounts to be precise. So I think for Siddaramaiah or D. Shivakumar to take the ideological, moral or political high ground and say X, Y or Z about the BJP, neither behoves them nor is it credible enough for the BJP to take cognizance of. However, let me put some things in perspective. I think unlike in Punjab, where you had Captain Amrinder Singh and Navjot Singh Sidhu washing dirty linen in public and making a mockery of themselves and all that the Congress perhaps stands for. In this case, I challenge you, Rahul. Have you seen any one anti-party or anti-leadership statement from Yediyurappa? What did he say minutes after his resignation, which is there in the public domain on Twitter and on various other platforms? He clearly said, no one pressurized me to resign, point number one. Point number two, and very importantly, he said, I will work 100% and my supporters will also work 100% to ensure that in 2 years' time,
Aishwarya Mahadev, comparisons with the Congress and how it handles dissent and fissures is inevitable. Look at what's going on at this moment in Rajasthan, where you still haven't been able to resolve this Sachin Pilot versus Ashok Gehlot war that's playing itself out. In Madhya Pradesh, Jyotiraditya Scindia left. In Punjab, you have an uneasy truce. The BJP can say, yes, there were problems, but rather than going to polls with those problems, we've now been able to deal with them, giving us the opportunity of starting with a clean slate. As Karnataka emerges from the pandemic, we'll be able to go out to the people and actually deliver over the next 2.5 years.
Rahul, first and foremost, I believe it's an absolute false equivalence to try and compare internal party democracies and issues of within parties with absolute administration in terms of what has happened now. This is not only Mr. Yediyurappa, the entire cabinet has resigned. Currently, you have a caretaker CM and you see that the government is in abeyance, right? But however, I will respond to Ms. Sanju Verma and I hope you give me like 30 seconds for that. You talk about Mr. DK Shivkumar's disproportionate asset cases. Mr. Yediyurappa himself was already jailed when he was chief minister for the fact that he was taking bribes and was embroiled in corruption. You talk about Mr. Siddaramaiah and what he did. He was the only chief minister after Mr. Devraj Ars to have completed 5 terms as chief minister. You talk about the fact that nobody has spoken against Mr. Yediyurappa. I am from Karnataka. I am a Kannadiga. Mr. Basraj Yatnal has now not only accused Mr. Yediyurappa, he said a certain man has given 2,000 crores to become CM. Ishwarappa, the RDPR minister, has said that Yediyurappa did not let me function. There was a large letter floating of BJP MLAs saying Vijayendra, the son of the chief minister, was basically handling everything and was super CM. Dissent was out in the open, and I believe that that is why that in the middle of a pandemic and when my state is ravaged by floods, the BJP was forced to make this change, one. Second, there is also the speculation, the talk about the fact that he grew too big for his breeches and you forced him to resign. You talk about that tweet about peaceful transition. 1 second, I didn't interrupt you and I expect the same courtesy.
Yes, and you are not moderating the debate. Rahul is moderating the debate.
Rahul,
Okay,
can
one
I
at a
interrupt
time.
you? It's a
One at a
debate.
time. Let
I
this not
understand
degenerate.
what
Okay,
you're
one
saying.
second. Aishwarya and Sanju Verma, let the conversation not degenerate. We're having a fierce contest of ideas. That's what I'd like it to be. I'm going to give you 15 more seconds, Aishwarya, to conclude before I go back to Sanju.
Also, do realize when you say he wasn't pressured, look at the sequence of statements where he says, I will wait for the High Command to tell me what to do. Look at the fact that he met this years. You have to realize Mr. Yediyurappa has not had a 5-year term, having been a 4-time chief minister.
Okay, Sanju Verma, in 2007, he was chief minister for 8 days. In 2008, he was chief minister for 3 years. 2018, for 3 days. In 2019, again for 2 years. He's never completed his full term, even once as chief minister. You made the point when you started that there wasn't any fissure which came into the public eye. That's not quite true. Several ministers, MLAs from Karnataka BJP spoke out openly against their chief minister, which is partly why the High Command had to ask Yediyurappa to step down.
You know, Rahul, first and foremost, I take objection to this High Command word. Using it, you know, semantically, just symbolically is one word. But the BJP does not have this High Command culture. I'm sure you are aware, being such a seasoned journalist, that for BJP, the abiding work ethic is nation first, party next, and self last. Whereas in the case of a rickety old
if you see BSY statements, Sanju Verma, if you see, no, one second, listen, ma'am, one second. If you, ma'am, 1 second, Sanju Verma, listen to what I'm saying. I'll allow you to conclude. If you listen to Yediyurappa himself, every single time he spoke, he said, I will let the High Command decide. So this is not something which I am saying. This is something which your own chief minister till this morning was saying. Go ahead, please.
Rahul, I have tremendous respect for you, but please don't interrupt me before I finish, because you're breaking my chain of thought.
Okay.
You know, the Congress person spoke a lot of stuff, which I would simply say was a whole lot of hogwash, but you didn't interrupt her. Be that as it may. Let me now come very categorically. I maintain what I just said. Using the term High Command symbolically and actually having a High Command culture, these are completely two different things. Anyone within BJP will tell you that all important decisions, be it party-wise or be it related to government, there is a set procedure, a standard operating procedure. There is a parliamentary committee which will take the call on who will be the next chief minister. Tell me, Rahul, there are so many names doing the rounds. Prahlad Joshi, B.Y. Vijayendra, his own son, the current 2 deputy CMs, K. Sudhakar, R. Ashoka, Arvind Bellad. I can bet my last penny, nobody in the media has a clue as to who will be the next chief minister. Whereas in the case of a 136-year-old dinosaur called the Congress, which was set up in 1885 by AOU, it is dynasty first, dynasty next, and dynasty last. And that is why Rahul Kanwar or any other seasoned journalist like him could have easily said that fine, Navjot Singh Sidhu will now be the Pradesh Congress president of Punjab, because he's put a gun to Sonia Gandhi's head, he's put a gun to Rahul Gandhi's head. But in BJP, this my way or the highway culture doesn't
so
work.
respond to that, Aishwarya Mahadev. Sanju Verma does have a point when she says that this shows the difference in the working style of the two parties, because Yediyurappa, obviously he didn't want to step down initially, but he was nudged, prodded and pushed into stepping down and saying that he will now follow whatever the party top brass in Delhi decides, which is not quite the way it has been in the Congress, because you had the rebellion of Jyotiraditya Scindia, you have Sachin Pilot who still hasn't been assuaged, and you had Navjot Singh Sidhu in Punjab holding a gun to the head of the Congress leadership. And you know, you had Amrinder Singh who was sulking for a long time before he finally came around.
You know, Rahul, when you talk about nudged and pushed, I think rather it was coerced. But when you talk about the fact that you say that there was rebellion in the party, please also note that there was massive rebellion even within the BJP to even make Mr. Yediyurappa CM when they did try to topple the government, even with those 14 extra chief ministers, the 14 other MLAs that came in. Honestly, somebody needs to tell Ms. Sanju Verma.
Sanju Verma, let us speak, please.
Like the courtesy, Rahul, your show is far bigger than
Sanju Verma. Sanju, you asked Aishwarya not to intrude when you were speaking. Please extend the same courtesy. Let Aishwarya complete all other feeders till she completes. Go down. I'll come back in just a moment and I'll get Sanju to speak. Aishwarya, go ahead.
You know, Rahul, when she gives us lectures about, all these youngsters who are coming in, it's not a dynasty party or whatever, please ask her to Google who's Bellad's father. Please ask her to look at the background of Mr. Nirani, Mr. Bomai, and everybody else there. And please, she really should stop shouting. But the fact of the matter is, there is a massive difference between talking... Seriously, Rahul, you're really lowering the quality of your debate by allowing this. But however, I will complete and pretend like I can't hear her shouting. The fact of the matter remains that internal strife is completely different from this situation where you have a chief minister and his entire cabinet resigning. You realize you've left the government in suspended animation with a caretaker CM in the midst of a pandemic and floods. You may question us about our methods of functioning, but is Captain Amrinder still functioning as a CM or not? Yes, he is. Is there a change in the PCC? Yes, but they will work around it. Even in Rajasthan, do we have a functional government that is working? Yes, we do. Is there somebody that there's difference? We will work around it. The fact of the matter remains, we have not put the lives of the people of the state at stake for our own politics, and that's the inherent difference between these states and Karnataka. And hopefully I'll get a response to how you can sit and trash whatever the opposition has done while not talking about the faults in your own house from the BJP.
The fact is, even at this moment, former Chief Minister Yediyurappa still holds a huge sway over the 17% Lingayat vote in the state. What very few people would know is that the Chief Minister of Karnataka started out as a secretary of the Sangh, and while he may now be struggling for his political survival, one of the things he's very keen on is ensuring that his two sons are rehabilitated and that they're able to keep his political legacy going.
Bukanakere Siddhalingappa Yediyurappa has been backbone of BJP in Karnataka for last 4 decades. He started off with being Karyavaha, or Secretary of the Sangh's Shikaripur unit, in 1970. In 1972, he was elected to the Shikaripura town municipality and was also appointed as the president of the Taluk unit of the Janasangh. Yediyurappa was first elected as MLA in 1983 and has since represented the Shikaripura constituency 6 times. He also was appointed as state BJP president in 1988. As MLA from BJP, he became chief minister 4 times till date. In 2013, he formed KJP and made sure BJP did not come to power by cutting large chunk of the party's votes. He later returned to BJP and took over as state party president. Now he fights the toughest battle of his political life. As rebellion grows against the chief minister, BSY is projecting his youngest son, BY Vijayendra, as his heir apparent. Yediyurappa and his late wife Maitra Devi have 5 children: Padmavati, Aruna Devi, Uma Devi, BY Raghavendra, who is the BJP MP, and BY Vijayendra, who is currently BJP Karnataka Vice President. 45-year-old Vijayendra tried for Varuna constituency ticket but was denied by the BJP High Command in 2018 elections. But in recent by-elections in Karnataka, he was made in charge of KR Pete, Sira and Maski constituency. BJP won 2 out of these 3 seats. The rebel MLAs have alleged Vijayendra's interference in governance, and that's one of the biggest reasons for the rebellion against Yediyurappa.
Yediyurappa has multiple cases against him which he'll have to deal with. Has any plan been worked out, Nagarjun Dwarkanath, for what happens to Yediyurappa now that he stepped down as Chief Minister?
Well, what I'm picking up from Delhi sources is that he can get an elevation into the parliamentary board. They are supposed to be really reconstitute it, and he might fight the place because there's no South representation from the South, is what we are told. It was only BL Santosh as of now. Earlier, it was Anant Kumar and Venkaiah Naidu. Now, to consolidate the Lingayat vote bank, and the next big post after the chief minister is either the governor to accommodate him or to put him in the parliamentary board. It's what I'm picking up right now is they are thinking about accommodating Yediyurappa in the parliamentary board, is what we are told. But again, we'll know in next couple of weeks as to where will he accommodate. But Yediyurappa has clear-cut said that he doesn't want any governor post, and there's no post remaining except for the Pondicherry governor. So he's left with no other option apart from going to the Delhi and joining them, Delhi's team at this point of time.
Veera Raghav, he may have stepped down in ignominy, but the fact is Yediyurappa has played a very important role in helping set up the BJP in the south. He's the one who took the BJP to power in Karnataka. He never completed any of his 4 terms. How do you think history will remember Yediyurappa the politician and Yediyurappa the chief minister? Is there more negatives than positives in terms of the continuous charges leveled against him of corruption, or do you think just the fact that he helped take the BJP to power in Karnataka will in time supersede all else?
Well, I think he will be remembered as the man who led the lotus to bloom in Karnataka. Well, that's undisputed. You can't question it. Taking the party beyond just an ideological barrier, bringing a coalition, but he will also be remembered for the corruption that he brought in and the fact that he also resulted in the party becoming a one-man show. And I think that's what the BJP wanted to change. They knew they couldn't win back Karnataka without him, but they knew that there has to be a transition that needs to happen to a different kind of a party that goes through in that thing. It will also be the last possible of the regional satraps, Rahul, last of the few regional satraps. While the BJP may not want the word high command used to it, the optics are very clear that this was a decision taken from Delhi and passed on here, because I don't see any BJP legislative party meeting being called to decide who the most popular leader is, or any such exercise being carried out. So yes, he would be seen as potentially the large regional satrap of Karnataka in the BJP, the last regional satrap.
Is there a plan to reboot and reorient Sanju Verma? How do the priorities change now that Yediyurappa is not there? And the fact is, Yediyurappa never enjoyed a good equation with the Delhi leadership. You don't want to use the word high command, but in his own statement he says that for 1.5 months after the government was formed, and he uses the word high command did not allow me to form a cabinet. Despite floods and rains in Karnataka, I had to go around the state like a madman. Last 1.5 years have gone into fighting the COVID pandemic. Now that the pandemic is also hopefully at its tail end, how do things change for the BJP in Karnataka?
You know, Rahul, you have to give it to the BJP. It is a very, very young party. It came into its present form in existence only on the 6th of April 1980. We are barely 41 years old, unlike the dinosaur called Congress, which is 136 years old. So first, let us not compare with the Congress. It is like comparing apples with watermelons. Congress is all but wiped out and is reduced to being a regional party. It's no longer a national party in the true sense of the term. Now, speaking of how things will recalibrate in Karnataka, I want to say one thing, Rahul. For a state like Karnataka with a population of about 7 crore odd, I do admit that every life counts. But on the one hand, you have a state like Karnataka with 7 crore population where the COVID fatality has been reined in at over 36,000 odd fatalities. And on the other hand, you have a state like Punjab with barely 3 crore population and more than 16,000 deaths. You have a state like Maharashtra accounting for more than 31% of the total deaths in India due to COVID. And there the Congress is an alliance. So for the Congress to say that we are functional in various states, no. If today there is any alliance in which the Congress is the Achilles heel, then this is the party that needs to be named and shaped. Because don't forget, be it Tamil Nadu, be it Uttar Pradesh, Congress continues to be the Achilles heel in every
Aishwarya Mahadev, final words as I conclude this debate. You know, the BJP has wiped its slate clean. Whatever may have been hindering and hobbling the Yediyurappa government over the past 2 years, that's now in the past. The BJP does have the opportunity to pivot, reorient and charge in a more energetic fashion, which means the anti-incumbency has midway been washed off, or at least that's what the BJP will hope for.
You know, Rahul, I really hoped in this debate I would get anything beyond rhetoric, ad hominem attacks, and obviously whataboutery, but that doesn't seem to be appearing. But in conclusion, with what you just said, the fact of the matter is the BJP in entirety is mired in so much corruption and maladministration that no matter what,
let us speak.
Stop screaming. It's very unfair. The fact of the matter remains, Rahul, that at the end of the day, whether BSY taking bribes by Check or Shashikala Jolle or even Nirani or Jarkiholi or Yatnal, you realize that the BJP is mired in so much corruption that just removing one person will not cure you of the disease and the infection that is very deep rooted. The people of Karnataka are going to decide, and the fact is the BJP is too far gone to salvage the situation. This is obviously just a balm on the injury, and they're not fixing anything at all. And that is the fact of the matter. And look at anti-incumbency or not, the BJP as a whole has failed. Their ministers are too busy being corrupt to actually administer. And this is just the last nail in the coffin, and this is writing on the wall. And we will talk about this in 2023, and I will say the same thing to you again, Rahul.
Well, the fact is the BJP's government in Karnataka was badly hobbled. That's now been taken care of. Whether this leads to a new beginning or the problems continue is something we will continue to track very closely. For the time being, Nagarjun Dwarkanath, T.M. Veeraraghav, Aishwarya Mahadev and Sanju Verma for joining me on the news track. Thank you very much.